Well, later I get my hands on the guy that designed and built the first indoor, what do you call it, closet? It wasn't the Shakers. No, what do they call it? Walk-in closet, that's it. I just took a picture of my closet, my walk-in closet, which is half the size of, she's over there, half the size of her walk-in closet. And I'm astonished at how many things I have in my walk-in closet, which, by the way, she has twice as much as I do. But anyway, she's a woman, so that's okay. That's acceptable. But whoever made those things, I mean, the Shakers would build these little, they're just kind of like, just big boxes. What do you call them? Armoires. And they're beautiful, but they might hold a little bit of clothing. But I sat down the other day. Actually, I didn't sit down. I sat down. I stood up in the closet, and I'll bet it took me 15 minutes. And I've been getting rid of shirts. The shirts have been going somewhere else. And I haven't taken them all to Goodwill or anything. We probably took some. But I got rid of maybe 20 shirts. And I thought to myself, and here's one that I haven't seen for years, probably a couple of years. And I decided maybe I should start wearing some of these shirts that have been in the closet. So I found that I had a lot of shirts, and I thought, what am I going to do with all these shirts? And I just started throwing them away, really. And they were pretty old, pretty thin, what do you call it, threadbare. You know, you could see right through them. So I got rid of those, and I thought, I'm going to count these shirts. And I started, and it took me like 15 minutes, and I went 10, 20, 30. I got over 150. I got tired of counting. Where did I get? That's one for every second day. Every other day you can put a new shirt on. And I probably got more somewhere. And I thought, what is it with all this stuff? If you need any shirts, come on by. I've got shirts for you. I had no idea I had so many shirts. Where do we get all this stuff? I think I need that book. And I started thinking about this book. And I'm out here because we're under a tornado watch. So I thought I would pay attention and listen to the favorite weatherman. What's his name? Anyway, we're in a tornado watch, and he commanded us to go outside and watch for the tornado. So I'm sitting outside, and it's beautiful out here. But anyway, have you ever seen this book? The Gentle Art. Let me see if I can read it right. It's a tough title. The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. A charming and practical approach to putting a home in order while reflecting on the tiny joys that make up a long life. Reportedly, when she wrote this book, she was somewhere between 80 and 100 years old. And it was written by Margareta Magnusson in 2018. The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. My wife laughs every time I mention this book. She thinks it's kind of funny. Anyway, I get the idea behind it. It's a gentle and permissive book. It says it's okay now. You're not going to lose anything. You can set those things aside, and you can let them go. And you can always go to the store and buy something new. But in the meantime, and that kind of defeats the purpose of the book a little bit. But in the meantime, you can let some things go. How to free yourself and your family from a lifetime of clutter. She wrote that book for you and me. She knew what she was doing. And I really like this book. I've been reading some of it, and it makes a lot of sense. I thought at first, maybe I'll run down to the bookstore and buy it, because I go to the bookstore so much. But then I thought, no, I don't need another book. At one point, I had over 5,000 books. No, I'll go to the library, and lo and behold, they had this stuff at the library. I'm so grateful for that. Anyway, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. Yeah, I need this book. I must really like stuff. How about you? You like all your stuff? We buy so much stuff, and we've been in this in this stuff crisis in the last few weeks, ever since President Trump and he says that his favorite word is tariff, tariffs, and all of a sudden we've gone into this kind of freak out mode, crazy mode, tear your hair out mode about what's going to happen to free trade, whatever that is. We've been trading with people since thousands of years ago, but all of a sudden we just got this total fear that the markets are going to collapse and trade was going to collapse and all our stuff was going to go away. This didn't just start, actually. In fact, back in World War II, you may have been aware that really a lot of what World War II was fought about was stuff. Hitler wanted more living space, he called it, which really means he wanted more resources, more stuff, the ability to make more stuff. The Japanese wanted more steel, rubber, and oil, and we squeezed on them to prevent them from getting their hands on this. It's kind of like these rare metals today, these rare earth metals. We're kind of competing and fighting to get the resources together so that we could have a supply chain of all that stuff in the future, because we want to make lithium batteries or use the particular metals in computer chips and so forth in computers. Anyway, I'm not sure what Americans wanted. Maybe they just wanted to hoard all their stuff in peace, sitting in the closet counting shirts and shoes. To be fair, we didn't have as much stuff back then as I think we do now. But I still think we went crazy over stuff, and it seems like we're back at it, and we're back at the bazaar today, trying to get more stuff. And I don't think we've learned our lessons. Not just for ourselves, but also for our country. World trade seems to be having the hiccups right now. Seems to be something we're concerned about and afraid about. But I want to suggest to you that we came into this, in fact, I'll just quote Timothy, who was kind of a pastor's apprentice. He was one of Paul's apprentices, the Apostle Paul in the Bible. And in one of these New Testament books, it's called 1 Timothy 6, verses 7 and 8. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. Now, that's going to make your family happy. You're thinking that your kids are going to love collecting up all your stuff. She has a section, almost a chapter in here about, no, they're not. They're not really happy about collecting all your stuff and keeping it in storage someplace. In fact, it may shock you if you could come back from the dead and see what they're actually doing with your stuff. You're going to find it didn't last long. Anyway, we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain that we can carry nothing out. 1 Timothy 6, 7. Verse 8 suggests there's a satisfaction value in just two things, really. And having food and raiment, let us therewith be content. The King James, I think, skips the B. It just says content. I like all kinds of versions, but the King James was quite simple there. Be content, just content, with food and raiment. And raiment is clothing. But I doubt those folks in those days had a whole lot of clothing. They had kind of some outer garments, maybe some inner garments, maybe some sandals. In the biblical places and biblical times, the Mediterranean, Israel, and so forth, they didn't have closets. They didn't have a cabinet maker that built them the closets. Anyway, check your closet. Maybe there's some things you don't need. See you next time.